Hi and welcome to today's video. I have titled the video Guitar 101, Picking Up the Guitar. So this video is basically aimed for people who have never played the guitar before, would like to learn, but don't know where to start, or have already got a guitar and they're a little bit stuck. This video hopefully will be here to help you guys. I'm going to cover a range of various topics, such as the guitar itself, accessories, what to look for when purchasing a guitar, and just hopefully finding the best ways to help you guys get started. I was a learner once, and I remember how stuck I was, so I'm basically here just helping you guys and get you guys on the right path. Okay, so just to answer a couple of questions that I've had from people with regards to learning to play the guitar. The best one, my favourite one that I get is, can I play the guitar? Long and short answer, yes, you absolutely can. There is absolutely I can't think of any reason on God's green earth why you cannot learn to play a guitar. The only way I think that you can't learn is if you simply don't want to, or you haven't got these. That's the long and short of it. If you haven't got, if you haven't got hands, or if you're if you have a condition that makes your hands unoperable or unusable to play guitar, that's the only reason you wouldn't be able to play guitar, in my opinion. Anybody can learn. It really is a beautiful instrument, and I'd recommend anybody giving it a go. Okay, so in today's video, we're going to look at some topics with regards to, as I said before, learning about the guitar, learning about accessories, what to look for, and how to get started. And at the end of the video, I'll also show you the open chords, just to sort of get you started. Okay, so starting off, we learn a bit about the guitar. So, what can we say about the guitar? What a beautiful instrument it is. Okay, so learn a little bit about the guitar, why people play guitar. People play the guitar really for so many different reasons. When I first picked up a guitar, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, to be perfectly honest with you. I think at the time I was just hoping to learn, practice in my bedroom, and then hopefully one day make it to a gigging stage, which I eventually did. But people learn it for different reasons. People learn it because they want to become a part of a band. They want to make a career out of music. Others simply just want to learn it for their own reasons, just to practice in the bedroom, something to do in their spare time, an extra hobby. There are also massive health benefits to playing guitar. I myself have struggled, I'm not ashamed to say it, I've struggled with mental illness for the past 14 years on and off, and playing guitar has been a huge source of therapy to me, and I've used many types of therapy in the conventional methods, CBT medication, while they have helped. The guitar really gives me that bit extra as well, where I can literally plug in, start playing, and you just drift away. It really does take all the stress off you. So people learn it for that reason too, and it really is a fantastic instrument. I really can't praise it enough. So looking at the what it takes for a person to learn the guitar, this is quite a very important thing for me. So I would say a love of music, obviously, is paramount, isn't it? It does help. A great attitude, so being patient, willing to learn, take your time, knowing that you're not going to be the next Brian May overnight. It's just simply not going to happen. And I'll also expand further on having a great attitude as well, in terms of being self-critical. A lot of guitarists are like this. I mean, we're artists, we're very passionate people, and one thing we do is knock ourselves very, very heavily. I would say try not to be self-critical. Really, how I cope with that is look back when you first started and compare yourself to how you were then to how you are now. So I started playing, 17 years ago. I'm 30 now, and I got my first guitar when I was 13. And I can remember just picking it up and it sounding absolutely dreadful. I can remember picking it up and I couldn't even play a note. I didn't know where to begin. So I look now, I'm still not, I'm not the world's best guitarist. I like to think I'm a good guitar player, but you know that's for other people to decide. I just play the guitar. I just do what I do. If people think I'm good, great. If people don't think I'm good, great. You know, it's down to other people to decide really. But that's how I look at it. If I'm feeling a bit critical, if I think I'm not good enough, I look back and I think to myself, okay, well, you know, I look how I was then to now, and it certainly is a difference. So that just bear that in mind whenever you're feeling a bit low, or you know your confidence is taking a bit of a hit for you know not being able to do something on the guitar. Another thing I would say as well in terms of having a great attitude is be careful in terms of criticising other guitar players. I find that this is a huge bugbear for a lot of guitar players, and it irks me as well personally, to be honest, because every guitar player is different. Every guitar player sounds different. Every guitar player plays slightly differently too. I mean, I can tell you a bit of a story. I recorded "I Want to Break Free" by Queen, posted it online, and funnily enough, I had the vocalist of a Queen tribute band comment, but it wasn't very constructive at all. He was quite destructive, if anything. He was basically knocking my sound, how I was playing. You know, which is fine. I mean, we're all entitled to an opinion, don't get me wrong, but I'm all for constructive feedback. I'd rather him have said to me, Matt, that sounds good. However, if you try this, great. I'll give it a try. And if I like it, I'll use it. Absolutely fine. And it's the same with my ongoing videos. If anybody has any feedback for me, it's very welcome. As long as it's constructive, not abusive, it doesn't need to be. Again, I would just try and keep out of that habit of, you know, slagging other guitar players off, because as artists, we're very passionate about what we do. It means a lot to us. We're just doing it in our own way. There's many videos I've seen that I don't like, but I'm not going to comment, and I'm not going to be destructive, because there's many ways to play a guitar other than my own. So just bear that in mind. That's all about maintaining a great attitude. If you can do that, then there's nothing stopping you. The world's your oyster, really. Okay, so again, as expanding on what I say about every guitarist is different. One thing I will promise is that I will do all I can to help you in terms of developing your confidence, and giving you the education that I feel that you will need to learn to play the guitar the way I learned, and what I wish I'd have known back then. And that's really all I'm here to do. I'm not here to turn you into the next Mark Knopfler or Slash, because I simply cannot do that. That's down to circumstance and years of practice, and finding your own sound. Every guitarist again sounds differently. Brian May is very different to The Edge. The Edge is different to Zakk Wylde. Zakk Wylde is different to Steve Vai. They again have their own unique sound. And really as well, I will also say, don't worry about making mistakes, because I can guarantee you every guitar player makes mistakes, myself included. Even the best in the world make mistakes. The only difference is that when they make mistakes, it sounds great. And they really are good at what they do, you know, so it really doesn't matter. You know, the guitar is there to be enjoyed for anyone and everyone, and I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I certainly hope I can go some way to helping you. Okay, so yeah, and just remember one other thing as well, learning is half the fun. I have just as much fun plugging in, learning a new track than I do playing a track I already know. As long as I can put this thing in my hand and make some noise out of it, I'm having a great time, and I hope you will too. Okay, so we start off looking at the guitar itself. Okay, there are many different types of guitars. Another question I'd like to answer as well in relation to this topic is, if I play acoustic guitar, can I play electric guitar, and vice versa? Long and short answer is yes. Both easily translate to the other. The only difference is that one is a slightly different build, different size, and it's amplified. That's all. That's the only difference. I also find as well that people who play other instruments can translate to the guitar as well. I have a very good friend of mine by the name of Martin Cogloff. Hi there, Martin. He plays the ukulele, and he's used techniques that he's used on the ukulele onto guitar, which is actually a brilliant thing to do. He sent me a little soundbite on my social media page a few nights ago, and it absolutely sounded brilliant. His melody technique is something else, and again, he attributes that to playing the ukulele, and which is in itself a different instrument, but I can see where he's taken techniques from that and put it on the guitar. So fair play to Martin for that, and that certainly will come instead. And if you play bass as well, again, translatable, slightly different, but very similar techniques. As what you'll use on the bass is what you'll use on this baby. There really is not a great deal of difference. Even if you play something like keyboard, drums, great. You're playing an instrument, so you're already halfway there in terms of musical knowledge. You can put that on here as well. Again, another reason people play the guitar is because it's the instrument of their choice. Mine personally too. I used to play the harmonica, and you know, I just find that everything that I want to do in terms of music, I can do on a guitar. Drums are great. Again, they're certainly the most expressive instruments in terms of percussion. Keyboards are fantastic, but again, I just feel the guitar gives me everything I need in terms of feeling. There's nothing you can't do on a guitar. There really isn't. I'm struggling to think what you can't do, and he does everything any other instrument can do and more, in my opinion. Other people have tried the guitar and have simply decided that another instrument is for them. Fair play to them. It's not, you know, I hate to say it's not for everyone, because in many ways it is. Anybody can learn, is all I'm saying. But everyone has different preferences. Okay, so we're looking at the guitar itself then. So there are different types of guitars, as I've already mentioned. There are electric, acoustic, electroacoustic, which is an acoustic guitar with a built-in amplifier that you can then hook up to an amplifier and turn electric. Basically, you can amplify it. There are different. So look at the best ideal guitars for beginners. So this is really what you're going to need to know in terms of going out and buying a guitar. So buying your very, very first guitar. If I go back to when I was 13, I had received a guitar. It was a birthday. It was a Christmas present actually, and it was a Squier Stratocaster. A beautiful machine. Squier are owned by Fender. If you don't know who Fender are, then you're going wrong somewhere. Fender are amongst the creme de la creme of guitars. There really isn't much better out there, to be honest with you. They are the best that you can get for a lot of money, but they are still, you know, the best you can get. And I had a Squier guitar. Squiers are basically Fender guitars that are built with slightly cheaper materials. So, for example, the body may be made of plywood as opposed to natural wood. And you may have recycled parts of Fender guitars included in the construction, and that's why they're put under the Squier banner, as they're owned by Fender. But again, they're slightly less produced guitars. In terms of production value, they're considerably less than Fenders, but they're absolutely fantastic guitars. They can still be used live. They certainly give you everything that a Fender will. But very much on a budget. Another good make of guitar for beginners is Epiphone. Epiphone are absolutely fantastic. Owned by Gibson. Again, Gibson, like Fender, are pretty much the guitar of guitars. They really are the very best. And with Epiphones, again, they're constructed in very much the same way as Fender guitars. Slightly cheaper models, reduced stock. Again, reproduced, refurbished, packaged under the Epiphone label, owned by Gibson. There are many others. Chord are another very good guitar maker for beginners. They tend to make a lot of guitars that are suitable for metal and heavier music. A bit like if you imagine like a poor man's Ibanez, I'd say that's a Chord. You've got a Yamaha, especially the Pacifica guitar, very much like a Stratocaster in terms of look, in terms of sound. Can be used live as well. Very good guitars, and they won't cost you a lot of money either. Westfield, I in fact own a Westfield SG copy, which is very similar to an Epiphone. It's got Wilkinson pickups, and it sounds absolutely brilliant. And I paid about 80 quid for that, and that was a bargain. There are other guitars as well, such as Stag. Aria, they've been around for donkey's years. Let's see what else there are. There was two guitar brands that I would say to absolutely avoid with a passion. It's not often I say this. I tend to defend guitars more than anything, but there are two guitars that come to mind that I would avoid straight away. One is Encore, spelled Encore. Encore guitars are very, very, very low budget. I think you can actually buy them from Argos, I believe. Or you used to be able to, and they're just horrendous. My ex-partner had an Encore guitar, and she had nothing but problems with it. The pickups were awful, the action was absolutely ridiculous, so unplayable, and she just gave up with it after a while. It wasn't a nice guitar at all. And the other brand that comes to mind is Baldwin. Now, I'd be very, very, very careful of Baldwin, because I went to a guitar shop some years ago, and this is when I got rid of my Strat, and I was after a Les Paul, funny enough, but I didn't have a lot of money. That was my reason for buying this monstrosity. And I saw in the corner this black Les Paul, and it had Epoch, E-P-O-C-H, on the headstock. And I spoke to the guitar shop owner. I asked him to tell me a little bit more about it. He turned the guitar around, and it had a Baldwin logo on the neck joint. And on the neck joint, and I said to him, I said, who are Baldwin? And he sold it to me based on the fact that it was owned by Gibson. So foolishly I thought, oh, this must be great then. So brought the guitar, took it home, and it sounded horrible. The pickups sounded like stomping through mud on a dry day. There was no sustain, no resonance, no voice in the guitar whatsoever. The neck was awful. The action was about a mile off the body. It really was horrible. I had no comfort in playing that guitar. That was the worst 50 quid I've ever spent. And I later found out that Baldwin are actually a very, very good music maker. They make pianos. They're very well known for making pianos, but they made guitars under the Gibson license purely for schools. So basically schools could have them to teach like GCSE music, things like that. So they were just the basic of basic, just to, get your hands on a guitar and play basic chords. They were built for nothing more than that, really. So I would say just avoid that with an absolute passion, because you will only waste your money. Fortunately, I got my money back as I sold it on to a friend of mine who actually knows a thing about guitars. He took the guitar apart, put it back together with better parts. He's actually turned it into a pretty playable machine. And I sold it to him for £50. He knew what he was buying. I get my money back, so thankfully I live to fight another day. But that's a massive lesson learned. So I would say be very, very wary of falling into those sort of traps and not knowing, looking like you're not knowing what you're doing, sort of thing. There's a lot of guitar shop owners, especially private ones, can sort of, be a bit cheeky like that. So again, if you stick to the brands that I've shown you, and again, look on YouTube as well. There's thousands of videos, thousands of reviews. UltimateGuitar.com has guitar reviews on there as well. I find that very useful in terms of recommendations for the guitars that you're going to buy. There's loads of resources out there, so feel free to use them. That's what they're there for. Okay, so if we look at the guitar itself, and we look at the guitar from top to bottom. Okay, so I'm going to put the guitar at an angle so you can see all of it. Okay, so this guitar in particular, this is an Ibanez SZ320. There aren't many of these around now. I think these were discontinued about 10 years ago, but they really are fantastic guitars. And this one didn't cost me a lot of money. I got this second hand, and they normally go for about anywhere between £200 and £400, but I managed to get this for £100, and from a local buyback store, and it is absolutely fantastic. It really is. I read up the review on UltimateGuitar.com, and it basically got a 10 out of 10 round the board, really. It's a fantastic guitar. It does everything I need it to do. I can play blues, light rock, soft rock, medium rock, heavy rock, all the way up to metal, really. This guitar really does it all, and it's absolutely fantastic. Again, so if you want something second hand and it's a great guitar, if you can get yourself one of these, get one, because they're absolutely brilliant. It's probably my favourite, if not my second favourite guitar. I own a Brian May guitar as well. I have to say that it's probably my favourite, but this is the this certainly gives me everything I need in terms of playing heavier things and a whole range of music, really. It's such a comfortable guitar to play. Okay, so we're going to look at the configuration of a guitar, what goes into making a guitar. So we'll start off with the body. Okay, this guitar in particular, I believe is made from mahogany. I might be wrong, but I believe it's made from solid mahogany. It's solid wood all the way through, and so we can see on here, I'm going to explain the parts of the guitar to you. So we can see on here, I've got two pickups, one at the neck and one at the bridge. Both of them are double coil pickups. Now, different types of pickups. You've got single coil, which is basically one of these on their own, and you've also got double coil, two of them put together. The main difference is, with a double coil, it gives you a much heavier sound, a much thicker sound. So again, if you want to play crunchy, thick riffs, double coil, or even humbuckers. Humbuckers are basically double coils with a metal plastic casing over the top of them. It'll do the job for you. Single coils, I find are best to play blues, country, soft stuff. Handles it beautifully. But for anything sort of harder and heavier, I would certainly stick to using these pickups. Okay, so next thing we'll look at the tailpiece or the bridge. Okay, so this particular bridge is fixed. It's a set tailpiece. There isn't a whammy bar on this one. I'll explain to you what whammy bars are. Basically, a lot of bridges come with a screw hole in them for a whammy bar, or tremolo arm, or vibrato bar. It's the same thing, it doesn't really matter what you call it. And you can use this to depress the guitar and change the pitch of your strings. However, if you don't have one of these, you can do it, using your strings as well. So if I pick a note, so that's the sort of effect that you will get with a whammy bar if you don't want to bend your strings too much. So looking at other features of the guitar, we have the dials, or the knobs. No funny comments. Okay, yep, so we have the dials here. I've got two volume dials and a tone. Tone, I don't tend to mess about with. I just leave tone on at full, leave it alone. I can't remember a time where I've ever even adjusted it. I haven't needed to. Volume, self-explanatory. Turn the volume down, your guitar becomes quieter to the point where it switches off. Turn it all the way up, your guitar becomes louder and more vocal. So looking again, I don't think there's anything else on the body that I need to show you. Oh yeah, so we've got down here, we've got some string holes. In terms of putting the string, if you'll see on the back, if you can see very well, but you've got 6 string holes there, where you place the strings through, come through to the other side of the body, over the bridge, up through the nut, and attach it to the tuners. And that basically sets your strings up. In terms of the strings, there are different types that you can get, different types of metals, nickel, steel. You can get different gauges. What I mean by gauges are different thicknesses. So you can start, I believe, lightest that I've used is 8 up to 11. 11 are very thick. Stevie Ray Vaughan used 11 gauges, and they were really sort of heavy and thick strings. So I started off with 8s. 8s are very light. You can get some great string bends with them. However, they do tend to break a little bit easier. So what I would say, if you're a beginner, start with 8s. And once your fingers have got used to the strings, upgrade to 9s. Because they'll give you a bit more, they're a bit stronger than 8s. And you'll still be able to do very similar things. So again, they're absolutely fantastic. I use 9s and I simply swear, but they do everything I need to do. But again, it falls down to what's right for you. If you feel that you can get by with the 8s, great. If you want to be a little bit stronger, but just upgrade to the 9s. It's as simple as that. The top 2 brands that come to mind that I use are Elixir and Optima. Elixir are slightly cheaper than Optima. They're rust proof, they're stainless steel, they last forever. Optima, again, a little bit more expensive, but essentially do the same job. They're professional standard strings. A lot of guitar players use them. I know Brian May uses them, and they're absolutely fantastic. They last a long time. Okay, so if we have a look at the guitar as well, this is, of course, the neck of the guitar. So you've got body, neck, and head. Okay, so we look at the neck of the guitar now. There are two different types of necks in terms of connection to the guitar. You've got bolt-on, or as mine, if I can show you, you get a glued neck as well. Bolt-ons are very recognisable. If you look on the back, there will be a square piece of metal on the back with 4 bolts attaching the neck to the body. I find the biggest difference with bolt-on necks with glued necks do give you more sustain. So for example, if I play a note, it holds and it really does sustain a lot more. Whereas I find with bolt necks, you're re-picking to hold the note. Whereas with this guitar, for example, I can play the note and it rings through the whole body. It stays there. So I would recommend a bolt-on neck, but if you can't get one of these, it doesn't matter. A bolt-on neck is just as good. They do the same job. As long as it's strong and sturdy, that's all you want. Okay, so if we look at the fingerboard or the fretboard, okay, you'll notice that there's these squares here. These are what's known as frets. So basically, frets are an indication of where notes are. So if you want to play a certain song, you want to know where to play the chords, that's what the frets are for. You've got these little metal pieces of wire, they're fret markers. Basically, these show which frets are where. So for example, we've got the 1st fret, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21, 22, all the way up to the 22nd fret. Some guitars come with 24. If you want to get higher pitches, higher notes, you can get 24 fret guitars. This one is a 22 fret. And yeah, and there are different types of woods used on the neck as well. Some have a slightly different feel. This is an ebony neck that I have on this guitar. You can get them in rosewood, which is a slightly lighter brown, and you've got maple as well. Maple is very smooth, and you tend to get maple necks on Stratocasters as well. Some Stratocasters coming in. If you could get one, I recommend it because they are beautiful necks and they're very, very smooth and very fluid. Either way, they all do similar jobs. Some people prefer a dark neck so they can see where the fret dots are, and I'm just about to explain to you what they are as well. So we can see on this guitar, at certain frets, if you can see it properly there, I'll try and show you. See there, you've got little white fret dots. So basically these are to show where certain frets are on the guitar neck. So we've got one at the 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 12th, 15th, 17th, 19th and the 21st as well. This can be, some guitars don't have them at all. I find them useful to know, say if I'm not looking at the front, if I'm looking at just the neck, I can see the 3rd, 5th, so on and so forth. So it knows roughly whereabouts I am on the guitar, and it does come in very handy sometimes, especially if I'm playing a riff. I need to know where the 3rd and 5th are, or the 5th and 7th are. I can literally just go like that. And that's just from looking at the side. So it does come in very handy. Okay, so next part of the guitar we'll look at the headstock. Okay, see on here. Okay, so the headstock itself will bear the brand of the guitar, so you can clearly see this is an Ibanez. And again, Ibanez, fantastic make. Again, they're up there with the likes of Fender, Gibson, Jackson, Gretsch, all those great guitars. Ibanez are up there, Japanese made, beautiful guitars. On here are what's called the tuners, or the machine heads, some people like to call them. And it's self-explanatory, they're used to tune a guitar, tune the strings, and bring them to the correct pitch. I would say one thing I would recommend, especially on modern guitars, you'll find that a lot of tuners are actually locking tuners. These are absolutely fantastic, and these are far more beneficial because with normal tuners, or with the old style tuners, when you tune the string, and as you're playing, because of the tension of the string, it can cause the tuners to wind back ever so slightly, which can cause strings to lose their pitch, to lose their tune. So what I would recommend is certainly go for tuners that lock. Grover are a particularly great brand of tuners. I have them on the my Brian May guitar, and they're absolutely brilliant. And I'm not sure what brand these are. Let me just double check, see if I can find them. I think these might be Ibanez Ibanez produced, but these lock as well, they do make a heck of a difference, because it literally means the difference between tuning a guitar every time I play it to tuning the guitar once a week, which I find I only have to do if I've got locking tuners. So I believe that's everything I can point out on the guitar, really. Of course, the guitar jack, where you plug the lead in and you attach it to an amplifier, you hook it up, and then that basically turns your guitar into an electric guitar, and therefore gives your guitar a voice. There's nothing really to point out on here. No, that's absolutely fine. Oh yeah, one more thing about the necks. It's just obviously, you know, you get different thicknesses. If you're like me, have small hands, then a thin neck would be great. So something like a Strat would be fantastic, would be ideal for you, because it just means it's less stress for your hands. It's less work you have to do reaching certain frets if you're soloing and you're playing. So if you're playing, you know, wide, you know, if you're performing big stretches, it's, again, less stress for your hands and less muscle strain. So I would certainly go for a smaller neck if your hands are a little bit small. Okay, so if we look at the, so let me just double check my sheet here. Okay, so yeah, if we start looking at the accessories for the guitar now then. So one thing you will need if you've got an electric guitar, and of course you want to amplify it, you'll need an amplifier. So again, when I first brought my guitar, all those years ago when I got it as a present, I had a Squier amplifier with it, a little, is it 10 or 15 watts, I can't remember now, but it was a fantastic little amp, it really was. I only used it for bedroom practice, but it gave me everything that I needed. So I would certainly recommend starting off small. If you're looking to just play around the home, then get yourself a practice amp, and that will do the job for you. I must explain the differences between amps as well. Combo amps are basically an amp and speaker in one set. So a practice amp is a combo amp as well. I call it a practice amp because of the size, the wattage, best for home use. I also own a Fender Champion 100, which to me is possibly the best amplifier you can get, really. If you've got a low budget, you probably wouldn't be able to get one. However, if budget isn't an issue, you can get one for about £250, and it will do you for both home practice and for gigging as well, because it's 100 watts, 2 Celestion speakers, and built-in effects as well. It's a fantastic amp. I absolutely love it. But as I say, so the amp itself, if you look at the top of your combo, where all the dials are, that's the amp. The bit underneath with the mesh, that's your speaker. You'll notice that a lot of guitarists who play live will have a separate amp with speaker cabinets. So the amp itself is the electrical bit, basically, that handles all your different tones, different sounds, and your effects as well. So that's your amp. Okay, again, if you're looking to start off around the home, there's a lot of good amps that you can get. You can get Fenders, very small ones. I in fact own a Randall KH15, which is a Kirk Hammett signature amp, and it really is fantastic. It really is a beautiful little amp, and it very much does the old job for me. So I certainly would look at something like that, and I got that chucked in with a guitar pack I bought a few years ago, much to my delight, because they're quite expensive to buy brand new. So have a look around, have a shop around, pop into your local guitar store, have a look, ask for help. By all means, that's what they're there for, and just they'll be able to show you what kind of amp might be best for you. But again, it all falls down to personal preference. You can also ask to practice, have a go there, see what you think before you take it home. I would recommend that as well. Try before you buy, so to speak. Okay, so if we look at okay, so I've explained to you the different, all the parts of the guitar. So one thing I'm going to talk about now is the different types of guitar that you can buy. Okay, so there are different types of guitar, and one way to recognise a guitar is by its shape. For example, if I show you my Ibanez, the SA320, this is what's known as a Strat style guitar. Now the reason that is called, if you look at the top of the guitar, so I get a bit more light. Oh, no, that doesn't help at all. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to put a light on. Bear with me just a moment. Ah, there better. You can see me now. Okay, so we'll look at the guitar itself. Okay, you'll notice on here it's got two cutaways. One here, one here. One is slightly raised to the other, and the bottom of the body goes in a curved shape like so. So this is what's known as a Strat style guitar. So if you think of like a Fender Stratocaster, it'll have this shape. So that's how I call it. So I call it the Strat type. You've also got a Les Paul type as well, which is similar to a Strat type, slightly thicker body, slightly heavier as well. And that will have a one cutaway there, and this top goes all the way around to the neck. So that's basically a Les Paul type guitar. There are others as well. Another well-known one is an SG, famously played by Angus Young, AC/DC, plays an SG guitar. And basically how it looks is very similar to a Strat style guitar, but at the top it's got little what looks like devil horns. That's an SG guitar basically. I own a Westfield SG, and it's a beautiful, beautiful guitar. There are also ones as well. Flying V, instantly recognisable V-shaped body, and that's self-explanatory. And you can get different types of Flying Vs. Jackson make Flying V. You can get ESP Flying Vs as well. Beautiful guitars, really heavy as well. And also other guitars we've got Telecasters. Again, Fender, very, very famous producer of Telecasters. Very, very similar to the Strat, slightly different in sound. Again, it's got one cutaway, another one here joins up to the neck. A very sort of flat guitar, thinner than the Les Paul. It'll have a lot of them have one single coil pickup at the top and on a slight angle at the bridge. And a lot of people tend to use these guitars for country and music like that because they have a sort of rich twang in their tone. So that if you're a country player, then Telecasters are great guitars. Really, they really do suit the purpose. Okay, so if we look at next. Okay, so playing the guitar itself. Okay, now I often find that when I'm playing the guitar, I like to be comfortable, which is kind of obvious, really, don't we all? Okay, one thing you'll have is a guitar strap. These come again different types. This is an Ashton guitar strap. It's fabric. Some guitar straps are leather. I have one on my my Brian May guitar, and the difference I find is that with these, the fabric ones, they're a bit looser, you get a bit more freedom, whereas leather ones are quite secure and rigid. They can be great though, so they can give you real stability when holding the guitar. A lot of straps come with locks. I did have one, and I think I've still got it somewhere, but at the top it'll have a lock where it will hold the strap in place. It basically stops it flying off, basically. But I have a fabric strap. This one has never come off. Some are better than others. Again, shop around, have a feel. All guitar shops will have a stand for straps, and they'll have all different types. Have a look, have a feel, try one on, see how you feel with it. It depends on the weight of the guitar. If you've got a heavy guitar like a Les Paul, or a very, very full-bodied guitar, solid guitar like this one, I would recommend having something with a lock, because then you know you've got peace of mind. You're not likely to drop the guitar under the weight of the strap. Okay, so we also look at the guitar pick or plectrum. I should have covered this in the accessories, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, there are so many different types of these. I have a few in my box up there. You can have really thin sort of plastic ones, they're quite big. A lot of people use these for rhythm. They have a really nice sort of clicking sound to them as they hit the strings, which gives it a sort of a nice percussive element. Excuse me. However, my pick of choice is a stubby. I don't know if you can see it very well. It's 1.5 millimeters thick. It's very small. Brian May, in fact, uses a sixpence, a 1947 sixpence, made out of nickel, so it doesn't hurt the strings. It's a very soft metal, and he finds that with those, they don't get stuck under the strings, and he's in close contact because they're so small. So of course, I wouldn't feel comfortable using a coin. I do have a sixpence, and I'm not too good with it, to be honest with you. I haven't practiced hard enough, I don't think. But so I use an X-Specs thing, which is a stubby, 1.5 millimeters. I'm always in close contact with the strings. I can feel the action, and every time I pick, it's very accurate. It doesn't get stuck under the strings. It's very fluid. So again, I don't feel any sort of, if I go moving string to string, it's very fluid, very sweepish. You know, it certainly doesn't give me any discomfort or frustration when I'm playing. So that would be my recommendation. But again, practice with all different types of picks. Again, in guitar shops they'll have boxes full of them, and just see what's right for you. I buy different types, so sometimes I use different picks, depending on my mood. But I have found that this is my weapon of choice, so that's what I stick to. Okay, so playing the guitar itself, how to hold the pick. Okay, this is quite, again, people hold the pick in different ways. I like to have, if I hold the pick like that, my thumb comes across the back, like so, so sort of like a right angle like that, with my finger coming in like that, and resting sort of, if you make a hook shape with your finger, down by the side of the pick, like that. I find that is the most comfortable for me. I can, you know, and that gives me, you know, reasonable comfort. And again, if I stand up and show you how I hold the guitar standing up, of course, when you're sitting down, you can rest it on your knee, no problem. But I find when I hold the guitar, a lot of people have the guitar up by their chest. Again, absolutely fine, because, you know, you're closer, you can see what you're doing, you've got better control. Some people have the guitar really down low by their thighs, but I find that really uncomfortable. I mean, unless you've got super long arms like Slash, who does that famously. You know, I find that quite uncomfortable, to be honest. So I like to have it around about, I have it round about where my stomach, my hip is, so around about here. It's a nice height for me. I can sort of play with comfort there, and it really is comfortable. I certainly wouldn't have it any lower. I don't feel a need to. I'm not worried if I look cool or not. It's how I play the instrument that defines how I play, not how I hold it. So that's what I would do. I'd certainly have it round sort of chest to stomach height. Just find what's comfortable for yourself. And obviously with time, if you feel like you want to hold it a different way, hold it a different way, by all means. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to play basic rhythm. Okay, how to hold the pick, more importantly, how to rest your hand on the guitar. I bring my right arm, or left arm if you're left-handed, over the top of the guitar like that, so it's down towards the bottom end of the body, and I rest my wrist on the bridge, so basically just there, so this puts me at a perfect angle to pick the strings. I mean, some hold the picks like that, some come down like that, but I find that I'd soon become uncomfortable doing that. Some have the pick all the way down here. Again, that's not comfortable for me. So I would say, just have your hand above the strings, rest your hand on the bridge, and that's perfectly playable to me. I've never played any other way, and it's done the job for me, to be honest with you. Okay, so what I'm going to look at today, in terms of, I'm going to play the guitar a little bit now, so I'm going to start talking a little bit less, give your ears a little bit of a rest. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to look at, I'm going to teach you the open chords. So once you've got the guitar, you've plugged it in, you've tuned it to E standard, that's E, so E, A, D, G, B, E. If you can't tune the guitar by ear, don't worry, neither can I. What I use is one of these things, and if you buy a guitar pack, you will get one of these, or if you don't, ask for one. A tuner like that. I have a Boss TU-80 tuner and metronome, absolutely fantastic. I can tune my guitar. It does all different types of tuning. I can tune it to sharp, I can tune it to flat, I can tune it down to D, C, B, so on and so forth if I choose to. So I would certainly recommend getting one of these, and get one that gives you different types of tunings as well. Because obviously I'll be teaching you different songs to play that require different tunings. So I would certainly invest in a guitar tuner. They are a lifesaver. If you try and tune by ear like me, I'm tone deaf, so there's no point. I'll be here all day. Right, okay. So if we start off with the basic chords, and I'll do it in alphabetical order, so from A all the way to G. Okay, I'll try and come a little bit closer so you can see the guitar neck. Okay, so if I start with the guitar licks, just so you can see. So start off with A chord. So again, once you've got the pick, just get comfortable. Like so. Once you've done that, okay, what I would do, okay, so we'll start off with the A chord. Okay, so what you will need to do, take your first finger, place it on the second fret of the D string, like so. Okay, you will then need to take your second finger or middle finger, place that on the second fret of the G string, so just one beneath it basically. So you should have like that. Then take your ring finger or third finger, place that on the second fret of the B string. Then what you'll need to do is play from the A string down to the high E string. That's the A chord. So play that once again for you. So again, first, second, third fingers on the second fret of the D, G and B strings. From the A string down to the E string. You can include the low E string as well if you want to, but I don't tend to. I tend to just go like that. A chord. Ever so simple. Okay, so next chord I'm going to teach you is the B chord. And how I play this as a power chord, but I'll teach you all about power chords separately in a different video. Okay, so I play the B chord like so. So it's your first finger on the first fret of the A string, third finger on the third fret of the D string, and little finger, your pinky, on the third fret of the G string. That's B. Right, okay. So, next chord to show you, I'll show you C. C, you will need your first finger on the first fret of the B string. Okay. Then you will need to take your second finger and place that on the second fret of the D string, like so. Okay. Third finger on the third fret of the A string. And again, you play all the strings, that'll give you a C chord. Okay, so the next chord to show you will be the, I'll remember my alphabet now, D. Been many years since I've been at school. Okay, yep, so the D chord will be next. For that, you will need your first finger on the second fret of the G string, your second finger, now watch this very carefully, on the second fret of the high E string, like that. If you can see properly, I'll try and hold the guitar a bit closer, like that. Okay, don't mind the dog. Okay, so third finger on the B string, third fret. So from the fourth, so you want it from the D string down, that's a D chord. Okay, so next chord is the E chord. Okay, so playing that from the first fret of the G string, second and third fingers on to the A and D strings on the second fret. So just to explain that again, so your first finger needs to go on the first fret of the G string, second, third fingers on the second fret of the A and the D string. So play that all the way through. That's an E chord. Okay, so next chord to show you will be F. Okay, so F, very similar to a C chord, except we move our second and third fingers 2 frets down. So the first finger will be placed on the first fret of the B string, like so. His second finger will be on the 2nd fret of the G string, and the third finger will be based on the 3rd fret of the D string. So play it through like so, and that's an F chord. Okay, so I'll play that once again for you. Hi guys, I have an audience. Right, okay, so the final chord to show you will be G. So for this one, we take our 1st finger, place it on the 2nd fret of the A string. We then take our 2nd finger or middle finger, place that on the 3rd fret of the low E string. We then take our, you can either put your 3rd finger or little finger, it really doesn't matter, on the 3rd fret of the high E string, and play all the strings from bottom to top, sorry. So play it all the way through. Okay, and that's a G chord. So play it once again through for you. Okay, simple as that. Okay, so that's all I need to show you today, guys. Thanks ever so much for tuning in. If you have any problems, any questions, feel free to contact me. My contact details are on my channel. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter, or simply leave me a comment in the drop box below, and I'll be more than happy to reply to you. So yeah, I wish you all the very best. I hope I've been helpful in some way in terms of getting you started and picking up a guitar. Any problems, let me know. Thanks for watching.